Hello everyone, welcome to week 5 of the Ruby on Rails Bootcamp. This session is going to be about Bootstrap and we'll be covering what Bootstrap is, how to set it up in a Rails application, the Bootstrap grid system, and some of the components that Bootstrap has to offer. So let's get started. To begin, Bootstrap is an open source framework for CSS. It has predefined components and utilities that we can use to develop a responsive web page faster. Basically, it saves us the hassle of defining minute parameters for HTML elements such as divs, tables, and buttons. Since this is an open source thing, I have put up their GitHub repository link over here. If you want, you may visit the website and check it out yourself. Okay. Installation of Bootstrap can be done in many ways, such as using a package manager or using the CDN, or it can also be downloaded. For us, we'll be installing the Bootstrap gem and then using the bundle install command and finally adding an import statement to application.scss. I'll walk you through the process in the demo. Coming to the concept of breakpoints. These are screen widths that determine the responsiveness of a web page. They can be used to implement media queries. I have added the standard breakpoints in Bootstrap over here. These are SM for small, MD for medium, LG for large, XL for extra large, XXL for extra extra large, and these are the corresponding dimensions for these. We'll see how we can use these later in the demo. Coming to the next topic, the grid system. Grid can be visualized as rows and columns. Each row allows up to 12 columns across the page, and generally rows are placed inside divs with the container class in order to give it proper padding and margin. A col-1 would represent 1/12 of the column, 1/12 of the row width. So here the span1 elements represent each having width 1/12 of the row. Span 4 has 1/3, span 8 has 2/3, span 6 has half, and span 12 is the complete width. It must be noted that the total width is 12 and each component can have a minimum of 1 and maximum of 12. Okay, so these are the components that the latest version of Bootstrap offers us. We won't be able to cover all of these in the demo, but yeah, you can visit their official documentation and always check these components out. With that out of the way, let's move on to the demo. Okay, so here I have set up a basic Rails application, nothing much going on for now. The first thing that we'll do is create a scaffold. The scaffold is named people and it has 3 parameters, this name, phone, and about. All of these are having string as a data type. Okay, the scaffold has run. Now we migrate the database. Okay, well, this has created our table and also the associated files. For now, we'll be adding the route to this thing. Okay, and I'll start the server. Well, yeah, so this is the index page and that has been set as the root path. So yeah, over here we can go ahead and add some random data. Yeah, so the person was successfully created. We can edit the record and that also works, and here we get the entry. So this is pretty basic. So what we'll be doing is trying to make it look better using Bootstrap. To do that, we first have to install it. So this is the official documentation of Bootstrap. The current version, the latest one, is 5.3.0 alpha 1. We won't be using this as there is some problem while running this statement, so I have found another source and linked and mentioned it in the PPT. So this is the one we'll be using. 5.2.2 is the version. So the first thing we do is we write this statement in our gem file. At the very end, we paste the statement and then run bundle install. That has installed the gem for us. The next thing that we need to do is add this import statement in our application.scss. It will be in app assets style sheets. For us, it's application.css. You have to rename it to application.scss and paste the command, paste the statement over here. After doing so, we restart the server. And as you can see, some things have changed, so we can conclude that Bootstrap has been installed. Okay, so now what we'll be doing is we'll be modifying the files responsible for the view, which are form, edit for editing the person, index, which was our root path, adding a new member, and showing. So let's begin with the form first. Okay, so what we do is we let this code be here for now. The first thing, we create a container div in which we'll be keeping our rows. We'll give it a margin of 2. m.2 signifies margin of 2 on each side, a padding of 2, same on all sides, and text center. All these are classes from Bootstrap. Inside this div, we create another div with a class of row, and row calls 2. This row calls 2 basically indicates that we have 2 columns in the row, and that is fixed. And we have margin bottom of 2 as well. Since we'll be using these for all the 3 inputs, I will just go ahead and copy this. Okay. The next thing we do is we'll move the form label. And along with that, the text field. I'll do the same for the other components as well. At this point, we can go ahead and delete these 3 things. Yeah. And when we now look at this, it looks something like this. Not too good, but yeah. So let's change that. So for this, we'll be adding a class to the labels, all 3 of them. A class of form label. This is also from Bootstrap, and we give it call to. Call to signifies that this will be 2 by 12th of the total row width, and same goes for the actual input fields. We'll let it be for now, and let's just see what changes it has made. As you can see, these things have shifted over here, the labels, and as you can see they span like this. The input still stays the default thing, but now our labels span 1/6 of the total row length, which as you can see spans the entire page, the viewport. Okay. For these, we'll be adding class of form control. Well, this kind of messes things a bit, but we'll fix that in a moment. What we'll be doing is encasing these three inside a div. The div will be a call6, so you know that in normal circumstances it will be half of the total row, and we'll add a call md or a call lg9. So what this indicates is, if you have a viewport size greater than the lg breakpoint, it will switch to 9/12 of the total row span, else it will be 6. Yeah, so that done, we reload and we get something like this. Now if I try it over here, as you can see, as I increase the size, at this point we see that our viewport size changes and we go from call6 to call9. This is how we can use breakpoints to make our design more responsive. Okay, next order of business will be customizing this button. Let's change this class to row, and we'll give this a name as add. And class of button primary. Primary here indicates the primary color, which is blue. This also will be a call to, and call md1. So whenever we hit the medium md breakpoint, it will switch to a call span of 1, otherwise it will be a call span of 2. And finally, text wrap. This ensures that our text does not overflow and it just like extends the height of the container. Okay, yeah, and that has been added. For one thing, we'll also move this inside our main container. Yeah, so this is how far we have come. Next thing will be customizing the edit file. Over here, what we can do is, well, let's just go back. We'll add a person first. Okay, person has been added. We go to edit. Over here we have show and back buttons. These are the two things we'll be customizing, show and back. So yeah, first order of business, we add a m0 and px1 class to it. px1 indicates we are giving a padding, but only in the x direction. And we'll add classes to these two buttons. Button outline basically has the button only having an outline and not a fill color unless it's hovered upon. Success is the green color, primary is the blue color. On reloading we see that these changes have indeed been made. I'll put back the line over here. Yeah. So as you can see, these changes have been made. Okay, let's go back. Also this thing has to be changed in the new .html.erp. Yes. So we have a form for rendering person and the back button itself. We give it a margin of 1 on each side. Encase the button in a div. And give it appropriate class. Which will be button secondary text black, as it should look like. The text has been turned to black, and this is our secondary theme, which is kind of a grayish color. Pressing back, we go to the home thing. So the next thing that we'll be customizing is the index page. So this initially has a table kind of thing. So rather than changing it, we'll be improving upon the current table and adding some more features as well. Okay. So this is our file. Sorry, this is the file that we are working on. Yeah. So which one of people? First we'll change the heading. Margin of 0, padding X direction of 1. Change this to H2, and we'll change the text color to be primary. That changes that. Okay. So next what we'll be doing is wrapping our entire table in a div mx1. Margin of 1 in the X direction. Okay. To change the table, we'll give it a class of table. Just doing so has changed our table dramatically. So next thing, we can also center the text. That centers our text. And we'll limit the width by giving it a normal style attribute. %50% of the viewport. Yes, so that is how our table looks for now. The next thing what we can do is give it a, we can change these buttons as well. We will keep them to be buttons. So yeah, let's create table data item, div of class button group, and we'll be moving these links over here. Yeah, and add appropriate classes to each of these. Button SM indicates that our button is a small size button. We also have large buttons, and BTN, the normal thing, stands for a medium size button. Button outline, and we'll give them different colors. For this it has to be success, primary, and we'll give this as a danger. Danger is the red color over here. So yeah, that changes our buttons, and they are like together because of the button group thing. So show, edit, and destroy works as well. Okay, next let's customize this button. Let's just give it a class of button outline, primary, and a padding and a margin in X direction of 1. Yes, so that does this. So our button is customized, our table is as well. Let's add another person. Yes, so this is the show page for the person. This also has to be taken up. We'll do that later. So as you can see, the table automatically adds these things. We have the show, edit, destroy for each one of those. So let's go on with the show thing. Here what we'll be doing is creating a card sort of thing for us to view the data. So let's get started. Div dot card, it's the class for card. We give it a margin in the X direction of 1. Border of dark color, dark indicates black, and we'll give it a style of width 15 area. In case all the 3 name, phone, and about in the div. Next thing we do is add a header for the card. Div dot card header, and also text center attribute. We'll give it h3 viewing record, and then div dot card body. And also text center to it, and font size will be 5. Yes, so just a sec. Oh, wrong spelling. Yeah, so that has set this thing up. We can now see it's a card with the header, viewing record, and the body of the card. We can add a color to the header as well. and that does this. This is basic normal CSS. This part. The classes that we are using are all from Bootstrap, and the final order in this file is to add customizations to the buttons with a padding in margin in y direction of 1 and a padding in x direction of 1. Wrap them in the div. Give appropriate classes. That about does it. So we have back edit. We can edit the record where we have this page. We can show the record where you come back to this back. So this is the total flow. We can delete them as well, and it shows them fine. So as you can see, we have completed with the demo. So thank you and congratulations on completing this video lecture. I'll see you around.